Hello there good people, what is up? Welcome, my name is Marco and I'm a full stack developer. This is the third episode where I build a Twitter clone MVP web application. In the first episode I wrote the markup and the styling. It's very basic but it's super effective. In the second part I have created the server side, so basically the API. I set up the database and the schema for my data. In addition, I wrote the main functions for my front-end JavaScript to make AJAX calls and display the data onto the page. Today I will go on and basically develop all those small little details that will give this application some functionalities as the real Twitter. Mainly tags, how to parse and display them, and also name tags. So if you wanted to do a search based upon some keywords, well, you could. If you haven't checked the first two episodes, I strongly suggest you to. I go over some basics of JavaScript and CSS, and also some neat features that you might not know. Okay, enough with the talking. Better start coding. So let's give this a try. Okay, so let's start adding these advanced features. So the first thing is parsing the content to get the hash and the author tags, because as of now, the content here is just rendered in this plain text way. So this is not clickable. This is the hashtag and is not clickable. And this is the user link. And I want this to be clickable and I want them to do something. Let's parse the text and see what comes out of it. So I'm gonna go into my index.js file, and the function that takes care of everything basically here is the display bars. It takes the data, it cleans the container so that I don't adapt anything to it all the time. And if I have something greater than 0, so my data is not empty, I'm gonna basically render it on the page. The first part is going to create the div, and the second part is going to create the name. And here I have the content, okay? The last part is the date, but right now I want to concentrate on this part, the content. So right now I am creating the paragraph tag here, and then I'm just rendering the content as the plain text, as I said. So we need to do something here. And to do something, use a regular expression to split it, probably, and then maybe put it on the page somehow. Now, this is my way of doing it. I came up with it. I think there are tons of ways you can do it, but this is my way. So let's start. So let's create the content elements. And let's grab the content here. This is the plain text part, and I'm going to split it now. And I will use a regular expression to do so. Now the pattern is very simple. If you start with the hash symbol, it's a tag. If you start with the @ symbol, it's the user. So I will probably split upon those things. I'm going to use parentheses here because I want to take them in. I don't want to leave them out. So what I'm going to say here is the hashtag followed by a set of characters, A to Z, 0 to 9, and here I'm gonna specify 1 to 30 repetitions because I set this as the limit. And then I'm gonna use the pipe. The pipe in this case means or, so split it on this pattern, or the second is probably the @ and I can copy this because it's the same exact thing. So I'm gonna have parentheses here as well, and just comment be like this. And last but not least, I'm going to put a flag of I, which is case insensitive. So now this should return an array, and I want to see what it looks like, what this array looks like. So just put content elements here, save, and let's see what comes out of it. Console. Okay, so this is for all the barks, all the parks. So I'm just gonna need it for one. This one, for example. As you can see, it's an array and it's made of individual pieces. Like this is the first part, this is the second part, then empty space, then this and this. Now, if you notice here, I have something that I don't like, which is undefined. Now this might break my method, so I have to filter this. And the best way to filter something is probably to add filter method. Since it's an array, I can use it. Now in here, I will have the individual chunk of word of sentence, and what I want to do, I want to filter it based upon the fact that the chunk is not undefined. So chunk is different from undefined. Okay. Now I can see if it works. Beautiful. Now, as you can see, I don't have undefined anymore. Now I have all the individual pieces that compose the sentence, the entire sentence. And all the hashtags and the users as well are separated. What I can use now is something very interesting. It's an element in HTML that is very interesting, and it's the span element. Basically, the span element behaves like a div, but instead of taking the full width of the parent element, it's just displayed side by side. And this is exactly what I want. I want to basically compose this sentence, then the entire content of the tweet of the bark, side by side, just by rebuilding the entire sentence. So now here I have the array, and what I can do here is just a for each loop. So let's loop over the content elements, and let's do for each. Here again, I'm gonna have each individual chunk. And what do I want to do with this individual chunk? Well, I want to join them. So I want to create a span, first of all. So I'm gonna have new span, document.create element, span. Now I have a span, and the new span text content is going to be equal to that chunk. Okay. Now you might wonder why I'm doing this, and this is, as I said last time, is way more secure because I am creating the element and I'm setting its text content with the text. I'm not setting the inner HTML property because I'm not going to allow any HTML to run on my page, especially if it's user data. I mean, you can input some dangerous HTML. I don't want that to run. Now that I have the new span, I want to basically add it to the content. This is the paragraph. So at the end of everything, every time I put a span, I'm going to append it to the content. So I can get rid of this. Now something should happen. Let's see if it works. Everything is loaded as before. Okay. So there is no difference, which is good. But now if I inspect this, it's not a p tag anymore, but it's a series of spans. So I have this, I have this, I have this. Okay. This is exactly what I want. Yeah, I have spans just for empty spaces, but hey, that's what it is. Now I can try and click it, but nothing works, nothing happens. Why? Well, because if I look at my index.html file, this is the basically hard-coded bark. Every kind of user link needs to have a class of user link, and every tag needs to have a class of tag link. Then something will happen. So let's add this as well. Now, here in the content, I can just say that if the chunk dot match, this is a method that uses regular expressions. So I can put in here something very simple. So it starts with an hash. This is basically what it is. It starts with this. It means that it's an hashtag. This returns true. And so I'm going to add to the span the class of, I think I called it tag link. Okay. Now else if I have always a match, but this time I have a match if it starts with an at. Okay. In this case, what I want to do, I want to add a class to the span, which is of user link. I think I call it user link. Let's see. Yeah, user link and tag link. Perfect. So now this grants me like 3 cases. If it starts with this is not the, is it? No, it's this, yeah. If it starts with an hash, it will add the class of tag link. Otherwise, it will start with this, then it's gonna add a class of user link. Otherwise, it's not gonna add any class, which is totally fine for me. If I save this now, I should have this show up, and also in the other ones, as you see here. And now this is gonna take my styling. And if I inspect this, this is exactly a tag link, and in this case, it's a user link. So it's working, perfect. Now, what I wanted to be able to do is click on it and get all the tweets, all the barks that have that hashtag. Now, if you remember last time in part 2, the server, there is already an endpoint to do that, but now I need to add an event to this clicking. Okay, when I click, I want to do that. Now, there is a slight problem, and you see why. Now, let's put it down below. So if I select all the tag links, so let's select the tag links. This is just to show you. So document.query selector. Query selector all, because there are more than one. And I'm gonna select all the link, okay? Now I have all the links. And in here, I'm gonna have tag links dot for each, because it's an array. And in here, I'm gonna have each individual tag link. And what I want to do is add an event listener to each tag link. The event is going to be the click. I have access to the event. This is pretty straightforward, arrow function. And now I'm going to console log like clicked. Something very basic, very simple. Let's see if this works. So I got my inspection, my console right here. And I might need to, yeah, let's put it on the side so that I can show you. If I click something, nothing is happening. Why? How is that possible? I mean, there is the event, but how is that possible? Well, the fact is that all these tweets are basically loaded after the page because they are asynchronous. They are displayed on the page through an API call. And the fact is that when I select like the tag links, nothing is selected. So the add event listener is basically adding an event to basically nothing. How can we solve this? It's fairly straightforward, but it's super neat, in my opinion. What I have to do, instead of adding the event to the tag link itself, I'm gonna add it to the document. The document is always going to be there. And so I can just add an event listener, like click, okay. I have access to the event as well. And let's try now. And I say clicked. Now, the document is basically everywhere. So if I click here, it's clicked. If I click here, if I click here, if I click here, everything is the document, okay? And I don't want this. I just want the spans in this case. And I can use the match property. So if.target.match span, now I can do something. Let's try again and see how it works. And let's try and console log clicked. Now you'll see that if I click here, nothing is happening, okay? Oh, it's not match, it's matches. It's matches, okay. If I click here, nothing is happening. But if I click here, this is a span. And so it's gonna give me, it's gonna trigger the event, even if it's loaded asynchronously. If I click here as well, if I click here as well, beautiful. Right now, I can use another method, which is the get attribute. So if I target get attribute, e.target.get attribute, and what attribute do I want? Well, I want the class, okay? And here, this is going to return the class, and this must be equal to tag link. Now I know that I'm just clicking the tag link, okay? So even if I click here, nothing is happening because this is a span, but it doesn't have a class of tag link. But if I click here, it says clicked because this is a tag link. And if I click here, it doesn't because this is a user link. Now I can use this property this method to do everything. So here I have, well, right now I have a console log. Let's get rid of this. And what I can do now is use this method, getBarkedByTag. If you notice here, I got the display just into it, so I don't have to do anything. I just have to call this, okay? Now, you'll notice that I don't have a value. I don't have the tag. Well, easier said than done. The tag is going to be e.target.textContent, okay? And if I try and log this, now you'll see that it says good day, but with an hash in front. Now, from my server, this is basically my API, which is serving all the data. The request must not have an hashtag in front of it, okay? Because I am adding one. So if I receive something with an hashtag, the query would be basically hashtag again, and then the thing, which is not the correct way to do it. So I need to get rid of this when I do the request. If I just, from this content, I want to slice it, okay? I can just slice it for now. And I'm gonna slice it for like this, and we can just put this target.textContent.length. It's a bit long, but it works. Now, if I console log the tag, okay, I have the correct one. And as you can see here, I basically have the only tweet, the only bark with this tag. If I refresh the page, okay, and I do like test, there are multiple with test. There are two, and I got them both. So this is exactly the behavior I want now. Now let's think about the user link, okay? So let's see in the README if I've done everything. So I'm parsing the content, I've done it. This is done. I am putting the element on the page, and I'm adding the event listener. This is where I'm at. Perfect. Now I can basically do the same exact thing here, okay? So right now I have an else if, and I can just copy paste this because it's the same exact thing, more or less. I want the span, and in this case, it's not the tag link that I want, but it's a user link, okay? And if this user link is triggered, I want to get the user, and I'm gonna have the same problem. So I need to split it again. Target.textContent.slice, because the beginning is always, the start is always going to be the @ symbol, and I'm not, the API doesn't want that. So from the first position to basically the target.textContent.length. Okay, and now I can again use this function instead, getBarkedByName, and paste it right here. Instead of the name, I'm going to use the user. Okay, so this works exactly in the same way. And if I do this, nothing shows up because there is no user called YouTube. But if I don't have any, but I have BeGeos. So let's try now another one. This is a tweet. This is a park. Woof, woof. And I'm gonna tag somebody. BeGeos, and I'm gonna send it. Perfect. So it's right here. BeGeos has been parsed correctly. And if I do this, now exactly, I just received all the tweets by the author, by this author. So now they basically behave in the way I want. Okay, so from this you might notice something that is not so great, which is if I now click here, I have basically what I want. But to get them all back again, I need to reload the page, which is, not ideal. So how can we fix that? Well, my idea is maybe to put like a search bar and a button with the all options so that I can every time, instead of clicking, I can search in the search bar. And if I want them all, I just click them all, and that's fine. Let's see how can we do that. So first of all, I need to set something in the index.html. So if I go right here, I want to be above the container, because this is always going to be basically wiped out all the time that something is loaded on. So right here, I'm going to have a div, and I'm going to call it, I don't know, we can say bark navbar. Okay. Now inside this, I want a button, that's for sure, with a class of all. And this is going to display all, basically. And then I want another div. Oh no, wait. I want a form. Okay. And this is going to be search form. Why not? No action, because it's, we're going to take care of it with JavaScript. Inside this form, I'm going to have just an input. And this input will be a type of text. You can give it a name, and we can say that it's a query. And you can also say, you know, the ID of query. And like placeholder, we can say hash tag or add name, just like this. Right now, this should look fairly ugly. Exactly, it's here, and it doesn't really look very nice. So let's style it. It's a div, so let's go into my style.css, and I'm gonna open it on the side so that I can have both of them at the same time. If I go right here, I'm going to have this div, which is the bark navbar. And what I want to do here is I'm gonna have a display flex so that I can have them on the same line. By default, it's raw. But now I want, well, I want a margin top because there wasn't any. I'm just gonna put one rem. And this should already look, yeah, a little bit better. Now the thing inside is very ugly. So what I'm gonna do is the bark navbar button. So the button that is inside, it's gonna have a flex of 1. So basically, it's gonna take up all the space that is available, and then it's not gonna have any border, and it's not going to have any background as well. It's just gonna basically be the word, and that's it. But I want to have is the font size. It's going to be 1 rem, and the font weight. This is going to be bold. Maybe I got the 700. Yeah. Just like this, I should have this. Beautiful. Now, let's see what's going on here. Why it's putting it like this. Okay. Yeah. So it's not this, but this is not gonna have a flex of 1. You are downgraded soldier. Okay, it's the other one, the other div. So right now it's working fine. I might do a cursor pointer so that you know that something can happen if you click it. Okay. And then I'm going to select the other div, which is the search form, which is not really a div, but it's a search form. Search form. Okay, and this is going to be a flex of 1, so it's going to take up all the space. And what I can do here is I can text the line on the right so that the input is going to go to the right. Hopefully does it. Yeah. Okay, now this input, do I have, let's increase this. Doesn't look very, yeah, okay, yeah, that's fine, no problem. Actually, it looks very, very far apart. I might add a padding right here. Let's add a padding of, yeah, 10 pixel. I don't know what I've used before. I think there's a gap. On the actual bark, I have a padding size. I do have it. Okay, I can use this 15 pixel just to be consistent. Why not? I think it's right here. Yep, just do bar and then this. And this should be, yeah, it looks nicer. Now I select the search, yes, sure. The search form input. This is what I want. And first of all, I want the font family to be inherited. For some reason, it doesn't do it by default. Then I'm gonna have a padding. Let's put, what can I do? 10 pixel top and bottom. Let's do 15 pixel top and bottom and 10 pixel left and right. Okay, then I can have a border radius of, this is basic styling. This is nothing to do with programming. It's just designing. Yeah, this looks super ugly. Maybe 10 pixel all around. And maybe the border can be 1 pixel solid RGBA, so that I can give it an alpha 0.3, let's say. Should look, yeah, it looks cleaner. Okay, I like it better. And I can set a min width actually. If I do a min width, I can put some like 25 characters. It's too, oh yeah, you know what? I'm gonna put 30 characters because every hashtag that I set and every user that I set, it's basically 30 characters. So I guess this is fair. Beautiful. So now it's 30 characters long, and there is a button here that I can click. Okay, let's see what we can do with this. Now the styling is done. I mean, it's not the super good looking design that I might want, but now we have a search bar and we have a button for all the tweets. Let's use JavaScript to make them do something. So in my index.html, I'm gonna select them, okay? So I have called the button as a class of O. I could actually give it an ID. It's the only one on the page. So I'm gonna select this, and I'm gonna select this form so that I can put like an event listener on this form. So this is the search form. Okay. Let's say search form is equal to document.query selector. Why? And this is what I want to select. And the button instead is going to be obdn document.getElementById. And that it was all. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Now I want to add an event listener on this. Button is an event listener, and I want to listen for a click. Every time I click, I basically, what do? I do this, get all barks. There is a function that does it, so yeah, I think it's fine. Okay. Get all barks. Let's see if this happens or throws some errors. So if I do this, now I have BeGeos, but if I do this, I have all of them. Beautiful. Now this works. I don't have to reload the page, so this works. Beautiful. Now I need to think about the form. So I'm gonna say search form.add event listener. This time I'm gonna have, do I really want to add an event listener on this? No, because I don't have a button. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna add the event on the input itself. This is an ID of query, so I can add the event here. This is the input. Let's say input query. Why not? And right here, I'm just gonna have a getElementById. And the ID is query. Okay, so now basically this is the event on the input. What I can have here is an event on the key down. So basically every time I press like something on the keyboard, and I'm gonna have access to the event. And I want this to trigger only when I press enter, basically. So if the code of the event is equal to enter, this is how you should do it. Let's console log something just to see if it works. Enter. Search form is not defined. Sure, where does it say so? Let's see if I reload the page. Okay, where am I selecting this? Oh yeah, stupid, silly me. Input query, the query selector. Okay, now it should work. Okay, so if I do this and I put enter, it says enter and it's gonna reload, so I don't want that. So I'm gonna prevent the default on the form. You know what? I'm gonna put it inside right here. So I'm gonna prevent the default. Let's see if it works. Yeah, okay. And it prints enter, so it's working. Now what I want to do is basically get everything that is inside the input, but I need to filter it, because if you put an hash in front of it, I'm going to add, I have to request the hashtags, or if you put the @ symbol, I need to request the names. So I can do this. Let's see, how can we do this? So let's set up some regular expression here. They are always very, very useful. So the first regular expression is going to be for the tag regex. Okay, and this is going to be a new regular expression. And basically, it's very simple. It needs to start with the hash, like this. Okay. In the other case, it starts with the @ symbol, but this time is the user regex. Okay, perfect. Now, here I can just check with match method, with test method. Okay, so I'll have the query. Okay, do I have it somewhere else? No, which is the event target. So basically the input itself, the value. So whatever is inside. Now I test it. So, and I need to test it against the regular expression. So user regex dot test the query. Okay. So if this returns true, it means that I'm looking for a user, and therefore I need to look for a name. I still have to get rid of the @ symbol, which I put it here. Okay, but this is not going to be this, but it's going to be the query, because I saved it like this, so I can use it. This is the query. So I'm basically going to slice it, and here I can just use this query.length. It's going to be the user, and I'm going to get box my name like this. Okay, so if I look at it like this, I will have for the names, else if I'm going to use the other regular expression. So for the tags, regex.test the query. In this case, it returns true if I'm typing something that starts with an hashtag with this symbol. And in this case, I want to basically do the same but for the hashtags. So I'm just going to have a tag here. Okay, otherwise, just return, don't do anything. So it's pretty straightforward. Okay, let's do a double check. So if I press the enter key, I'm going to prevent the default. I'm going to create the query, and I'm going to test it against the user. If it matches, it means that I'm looking for a user. So I'm going to make a request to basically the user out, or I'm looking for a tag. So I'm going to make a request for this. If none of the above are true, I'm just going to return. Let's see if I get some error. Now, if I put the tag here and I put tag like this, nothing should happen. As a matter of fact, nothing happens because there is nothing here. But if I do hashtag and I do test, now, all right, it works. So now I have these both. And if I'm not happy, I can just say "oh," and let's try with an hashtag. Let's do BeGeos. And it finds the only one. Perfect. So the search bar is working, the button is working, everything is working. Good job, good job. So now the application is basically done. The minimum viable product, the MVP, is here, and you can add as many things as you want. Well, this web application is complete. And if you follow all the episodes, you could basically see the entire life cycles of a full stack application, from inception to styling to design to backend architectures, data storage, and so on. There are so many things that you can do with this MVP, some to-dos, and I just wanted to give you a few. Authentication and authorization. Now, as you can see, I didn't implement that because it's something of an advanced topic, and also it takes up a lot of time, but you could choose to implement it in your own application. Consider it as an exercise, and you can choose whatever you want. You can store session, cookies, you can work with JOT, JSON, web tokens. Another thing is working with files. On the real Twitter, you can actually upload files, like single pictures. There will be something super interesting where you could learn to manage files, how to upload them, how to save them, how to serve them with the API, and also some picture manipulation, like modifying the size, whatever. Finally, you could get really crazy with the design. Just reinvent the entire front-end look of this. You can make something identical to the real Twitter, or something that really came out of a painting, or just your imagination. And also add many little things from the real application, like suggestions, autofill, most tagged, most trendy. I mean, the sky is the limit. Anyway, I hope that this project could help you to get a deeper look into the world of web development, that you can learn something and get inspired as well. If so, let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and share this video if you really enjoyed it. There is much more to come, other projects that are going to be increasingly difficult to expand on everything that we learned so far, so make sure to check them out. For now, it is all. Thank you very much for watching. I hope to see you at the next one, and as always, stay tuned for more, and bye bye.